Poetry analysis. Edgar Allen Poe is a very famous poet from the Gothic era. So my partner Manya and I, Shivani Doshi, decided to analyze two of his poems, A Dream and A Dream Within a Dream.
In visions of the dark I have dreamed of joy departed, but a walking dream of life and light has left me broken-hearted. Ah, what is not a dream by day to him whose eyes are cast on things around him with a ray turned back upon the past? That holy dream, while all the world were childing, hath cheered me as lovely beam, a lonely spirit guiding. What through that light, through storm and night, so trembled from afar? What could there be more purely bright in truth's day star?
So A Dream is a poem by Poe, and it's not actually about nighttime dreams. It is about daydreams, and how even though they're your only escape from reality, and they might be wonderful, in reality they only end up hurting you because they're lies to reality. So the theme for this poem was daydreams are wonderful because they offer an escape from reality, but in the end they will end up hurting you because they are lies to reality. So the three main devices he used in his poem to convey his theme were punctuation, authors, and connotation and denotation. And his author background, connotation and denotation. Okay. So for example, so author's background, Poe's parents and his wife both all died of illness. So he had a really depressing and sorrow childhood, which led to childhood and adulthood, really. And so that led to a lot of his poems being dark and gloomy. And he also wrote in the Gothic era, so that contributed to his poems. So for example, lines 3 and 4, he talks about how his wife's death left him heartbroken. And in lines 6 to 8, Poe sees everything with a comparison to the past, so he remembers how it was before his loved ones died, and so everything he sees now he compares to that happiness. And then in line 11, he talks about how only his daydreams are the things that keep him going through the sorrow and through like how he's so depressed. And in line 12, he talks about, in line 2, he talks joy departed, which is, again, his wife dying, and so all his joy just being snatched away from him. He also, later in line 10, he says, while all the world chiding, and so it kind of like shows you that life was, in a way, scolding him by taking all of his loved ones away from him. And then in line 12, he says spirit guiding, which could refer to alcohol, because after his wife died, he looked to alcohol a lot to like fix his pain, so he became an alcoholic, so that could be the lonely spirit that's guiding him. Okay, the last thing in his poems that really helps him convey his message is connotation and denotation. For connotations, he uses positive words to describe the feeling he gets when he thinks about daydreams, and the feelings he uses to describe his daydreams are really positive, such as life and light, which symbolize like happiness and sunshine. The interjection, which he's kind of like fascinated by daydreams, so he's like, oh, it's so interesting. And then he refers to his daydreams as holy dream. And spirit guiding, which is like, it's showing him the way, so it's in a way his leader kind of. And then purely bright, because there's nothing, because it's like clear and concise, and it's sunshine, and it's like just beautiful. And then, but then the feeling he uses departed. The negative connotation is like, for example, departed, when he's talking about how he dreams of joy departed in his night dreams. And then how the whole world is chiding him, so that's in reality he uses negative connotations for his actual life. And then he says trembled, so trembled from afar, which is tremble you see as more of a negative connotation. And then storm and night, when he's describing how the thoughts, which are his daydreams, are always there for him in his hard times, even through storm and night. And then denotation, the most important denotation was when he talks about night dreams versus daydreams. For night dreams, he says, "In visions of the dark night, I have dreamed of joy departed." So the negative connotation there is departed. And when he talks about his daydream, he goes, "But a waking dream of life and light hath left me brokenhearted." So the denotation is when he uses departed in night dreams versus brokenhearted in his daydreams, which show you that his daydreams are so much more important and intense than his night dreams, and that they leave him brokenhearted as compared to just like his joys departed. It sounds kind of like nonchalant.
Punctuation. In line 2, it says, "I have dreamed of joy departed," and there is a dash. This dash indicates a small pause, which shows an afterthought. Also, it shows that the next part is going to be important. In line 5, it says, "Ah, what a dream is not a dream by day." Shows fascination, realization, and an interjection, and is interrupted with this exclamation point. The following word is not capitalized, which is "what," to indicate that this next idea goes with the previous thought. In line 9, "the holy dream, there is a dash to show repetition and emphasis. In line 10, there is a comma at the end to divide lines 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, because there are two separate ideas that connect but are different. In line 13, there is a comma between light and throw, and it says, "What threw that light through the storm and night?" This is an apposite, meaning that it was unnecessary, but a necessary detail, because through storm and night has two commas, one before and one after, indicating that it's an inserted piece of information to add to the meaning. The meaning is that it gave him hope in dark times. A reading of A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow, you are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away, in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Theme in A Dream Within a Dream. The experiences of dreams only exist within the moment. They're not everlasting, just like events and people in our lives. Poe is saying that dreams are just like life. They feel incredibly real, yet when we wake up to the roar of life or the dream we are in, we realize that it was all just an illusion. Author's background. The many unfortunate tragedies of Edgar Allan Poe's twisted life cultivated his unique brilliance of writing. His depression enabled him to look deep into the souls of people and construct the most intriguing pieces of literature one will ever read. The tales of slaves and the terrifying stories told by sea merchants and skipper to him as a child made it so that the dead would always have a hold of Poe's experiences and writing. Another example is that many of his loved ones died quickly after knowing Poe. Death of loved ones was a key factor in his life that gave him an obsession with death and destruction in his writing. He didn't get to know his parents because they died just before Poe's 3rd birthday. His wife, Virginia, died just after 5 years of being married. The psychological effects of having loved ones dying, finding no happiness or comfort, being under the control of drugs, and living with constant failure is a lot for one person to handle. Despite this, he was a phenomenal writer. So how does the author's background relate to the theme of the poem? Well, according to the author's background, Poe had a very traumatic life, and so he writes very depressing poetry. You can see this in the poem in lines 1 and 2. Take this kiss upon the brow and parting from you now. He's obviously talking about his wife who died, and in parting from you now, he has left her, or she has left him. You can take it in both contexts. Also in line 6, it says, yet if hope has flown away. So apparently hope has flown away, which is his hope of having a normal life, and just hope that, you know, he can find love again, because everybody he's ever loved left him. From lines 14 to 17, he talks about how he held some grains of sand, and they fly through his fingers and he can't do anything about it. And then he asks, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? So obviously he wishes he could have held on to these grains of sand tighter. And what are these grains of sand? What has taken these grains of sand away from him? Why does he wish he had a tighter clasp? Well, the grains of sand are his loved ones, and they slip through his fingers into the ocean, which is evil. And he also described, and he wishes he could have did something. And obviously he says that when he says, while I weep, and then ask for them to come back. And he wished he held on to them. So it obviously shows regret he has had in his life, and you could see that he regrets a lot of things, as shown in the author's background. You know, his life has been very, you know, ill-dividing. It has not treated him good. It's been such a torture for him. It's taken so many things away from him. Edgar Allan Poe has written this poem as a reflection of all the torment he has experienced in his life, and you can see that through the negative connotation. In stanza 2, line 13, he talks about surf-tormented shores. And then in line 22, he talks about a pitless wave. This gives an illusion of a evil ocean, and how in line 15 he talks about golden grains of sand that have slipped through his fingers. This basically shows how the grains of sand are the people, are the loved ones in his life, and that the ocean is taking them away from him. And inevitably, the ocean represents death. In line 19, he states, "O God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitless wave?" He basically is asking a higher source of power why this is happening to him. And in this, he questions religion. This can all be tied back to the theme of the poem, which is a figment of imagination or an illusion. That this is not real, so that's why he wishes. Let's go take a look at the negative connotation found in this poem. Surf tormented. Surf tormented is usually associated with hell. Tormented is usually associated with hell. And clasp is usually a mean way to grab somebody, not a gentle way. And pitless wave, this pitless basically shows that the wave is vicious. He basically is trying to show how the world is vicious and mean through describing the ocean. In contrast to the second stanza, the first stanza has more positive connotations with the words. You can see this in line 1, how he says how he is describing his love for a loved one. Take this kiss upon the brow. Kiss is always a word that people always associate with love. In line 9, instead of saying death, or he says gone, as in it is more of a gentle word. The structure of the poem is that of a basic paragraph, meaning that there are multiple sentences that have been cut off with punctuation to make them rhyme. As you can see in lines 2 and 3, this comma separates the sentences. If it was a complete sentence, it would read, "And in parting from you now, thus much let me avow." He is separated with a comma just to make the ends rhyme. Also, you can see in lines 12 and 13 an example of enjambment. Enjambment is when a line of poetry extends into the next without end punctuation. So you can see, I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore. It all goes as one sentence, but it's been separated to make the last words rhyme. Bye! I hope you guys learned something new about Edgar Allan Poe and have had a thorough analysis of his poems.